Hey everyone, in this video we're touring the Eagle Yew house, which is a beautifully sculpted custom green home built with nearly 100% natural materials. The light clay walls are made with a mixture of clay and straw, and the timber frame structure is built using wood from the property. There's a living roof along both sides of the house, and the interior has earthen floors and natural plasters. This house has 3 heat sources, including a passive solar design, a masonry stove, and an annualized geosolar system. There are also 3 solar hot water panels on the roof, a well for fresh water, a septic system for waste, and the house is connected to the grid for electricity. Ezio, the owner, is going to give us a full tour and show us how everything works. So let's go meet up with him to find out more.
The premise of this house from the very beginning is that it's a house that will last 300 years. It uses natural materials like clay and wood, which, when well taken care of, will last for hopefully centuries. The house is a timber frame, and in the middle all the walls are 1 foot deep and are made of light clay, which has many advantages. Amongst others, it absorbs and lets go both of humidity and heat. It keeps it at a very even temperature, and it inhibits mold growth, and it inhibits burning. So this house, I won't say fireproof, but it would be extremely difficult to burn this house. The house is called Eagle Yew because it has many accents and many things in yew wood. Some from the property, from a yew tree that fell a few years ago. Most of it I bought from an old carpenter who had a garage full of wood. And yew wood is a relatively rare wood, very hard, very dense, and I think very beautiful. So this is the kitchen. The kitchen counter is maple from the property, and all the sidings are yew wood. Then we have my lab, in which I do essential oils that I have to make a perfume. The pantry, up there I have many tinctures, and then the rest is just the everyday food. Here we have the masonry oven, which works in the following way. You fill it up quite complete, and then light it so the smoke goes up the chimney. Then it heats the chimney. Then I close the flap, and the smoke goes underneath 5 times and leaves the heat in the mass of the masonry oven. You can see the whole surface is warm. All of it is bricks and cob. This is the main source of heat. The oven heats the whole house. And every year in winter, the 3 to 5 trees fall down. So those trees that fall down, I chop and I use as firewood. This is my reference library, the repository for my science fiction books, and my office in general. And this is the sunroom. We have here a truth window, which shows how all the walls are built. And it's what's called light clay, which is wood chips embedded in clay. Then the brown coat is sand, clay, and a special kind of hay. And then the Alise, which is very fine sand and clay. Especially in the summer, but also in the winter when there's sun, it's absorbing some heat. It's keeping some heat from going away. The floors are all cob. It has a layer of dry linseed oil and wax. And they're quite comfortable. They're not as cold as many other things. One of the difficult things that comes with cob floors is that they are I wouldn't want to say fragile, but they dent easily. This is my tool shop. I do a lot of carpentry here and fixing things. I'm in charge of a vacation and workshop rental that is next door, Eagle Nest Sanctuary. And then here is the utility room. The first heating source for the house is what's called AGS system. There are 3 hot water solar panels up in the roof which heat glycol, which is a liquid that does not freeze. And that glycol is brought to a heat exchanger. The heat exchanger exchanges the heat from the glycol into water. The water goes into the hot water for the house. Once that is finished, then it goes down 6 feet under and it travels so that it heats the bottom of the house. The heat starts rising, and at some point in time it hits a rectangle made out of pumice that is insulating, so it cannot continue up, so it starts walking to the sides, and 5 months later it emerges. So the idea is you heat in winter with summer sun. Unfortunately, the underground water is in such a way that is seeping a lot of the heat that I gathered in the summer. It goes away with the water, and it's not as efficient as I was expecting it to be. We're looking into different options. This is the first floor of the house. From every window you can see the living roof. So the living roof avoids the necessity for changing the roof every 30-40 years. Shingles, for example, which are on the very top of the roof, I'm going to have to change it after 30 or 40 years, while the living roof stays there. Most of the plants in the living roof are sedum, which is drought resistant. I do have drip irrigation, which I was thinking of taking out, but in the summer it becomes too brown, so I'm leaving it on so that it's still a green roof. This is the chimney for the house. It has an anaconda surrounding it to absorb the heat and to protect the place. Up here we have the bathroom. In the European manner, the toilet and the sink are separate from the rest of the bathroom. The main bathroom, the master bathroom, which has a walk-in shower, which does not use a door or a curtain. So this is my son's room. He used to live here, now he lives in Victoria. And this is my daughter's room. When we were building, it turns out that because the sunroom is a little bit higher, we couldn't have a window at the normal thing, so we had to put it up. This is one of the chairs that I built. It's an Amish design. It also converts into a staircase. So for this place is absolutely perfect because it's easy to go up here, and sometimes this is one of the ways I enter the living roof. So this is the master bedroom, and you have a view of the living roof. So you can see the alpacas on the background. So this is my library, which originally was just going to be the attic. But then when we were designing it, I realized there was a lot of space, and that if we made it 1 foot taller, it would be walkable and usable. I thought that 1 foot higher would not be a problem and wouldn't add too much money. But even though I consider this my masterpiece, I overextended myself. It was more expensive than I expected, and because it's custom, and unfortunately, natural building is up to now much more expensive. It uses a lot of labor, even though the materials are not so expensive. For example, 95% of the wood of this house was logged in the property. So the cost of the wood itself was zero, but milling it and moving it and all that does have a price. Then the clay was free. All it cost was the transportation. But even with that, there's a lot of labor in it. So labor just raises the price. Plan, then plan again. One of the mistakes we made was we started 3 months late, which meant that by the end of the summer, beginning of fall, when it started raining, not everything was dry yet. So a lot of money went into drying the material. So plan ahead. I think if you don't, it's very easy to overextend yourself. So this is the meditation room. I have a few healing jewels, some of my drums. And down here we have the view that I called Escherian view. It looks a little bit like Escher. You don't know what's going up, what's going down. And I like spheres. All around the house you will see spheres hanging out. This door is a U door, and it is depicting a crop circle called the Metatron, or the Darvish Angel. The overhang is slightly bigger than the typical ones to avoid water and humidity going into the cob, because the cob doesn't like humidity and water. And here is what's called the fast wall. This is another truth window, and it shows you it is wood chips embedded in cement, which has a much lower embedded energy. Those planks, what they're doing is protecting from splash from the floor and protecting also the fast wall. So it goes all around at the same, slightly higher than the fast wall, and it ensures that whatever splash and water and whatnot stays down here and doesn't go up into the cob. All around the house are 8 rain chains to channel the water from the living roof. The rain chains are prettier than gutters. The septic system is here, and the septic field, as you can see, is much smaller than a typical septic field, and almost above ground. So this is the east side of the house. Again, we have a depiction of the Kachina dancer, it's called. It's another crop circle. So what are they? I don't know, but I find the forms very compelling. Then here we have what I call my Findhornian garden. It uses many of the permaculture ideas and tenets. So we have here the alpacas. I have 4, you could call them rescue alpacas, because there was a lady with 60 of them who suffered a stroke, and she had to get rid of them, so I decided to accept them, and it's been a very good relationship. I really enjoy having them and taking care of them. Alpaca manure is one of the best manures you can find. It's very healthy for the plants. I am, of course, shearing them, and then washing and carding the fiber. And eventually I want to get a little bit more into using the fiber for throws and covers and things like that. And then here we have the south side of the house, which is the side that absorbs all the heat. The house is built slightly southwest If we were in the equator, the best place is totally south. But as you get far away from the equator, the ideal position for a passive solar house changes a little bit. This is aligned slightly to the west. Up there, we have 3 solar hot water panels that provide hot water for the house and works for the AGS system, average geosolar system. This is the main pond. Originally, when I came here, there was a tiny seasonal pond, and I started opening it up, and people from Alpacas who come. So now it's year-round. The border between water and land is the place where you maximize biodiversity. So by building different ponds, I am increasing biodiversity. At the same time, it is also a heat sink, so it balances the microclimate so that it doesn't get so cold and it doesn't get so hot. I consider myself a natural builder, although I don't build that many houses, but this certainly is one. Then I'm a carpenter. I make furniture. I did all of the sidings to the windows. I did most of the counters to the kitchen, the sidings to the kitchen, many of the closets. And whenever they were doing things here, I was always busy helping. I hired a designer to make the basic structure of the house. Not an architect, but she was a designer that has very much experience in natural building. And then I hired a crew of very dedicated artisans who love mud work and who love natural materials and natural building. It's designed for me. It's designed for the things that I like and the things that I like to do. I'm very happy with it.
If you want to find out more about the Eagle Nest Sanctuary Retreat that Ezio manages on Vancouver Island in BC, we'll put a link to it in the description below. Be sure to subscribe to Exploring Alternatives and check out our Green Building playlist to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching.